My husband used our daughter's heart to save his first love. I went crazy. When I was at my wit's end, my childhood friend Ryan found me and promised to give me a home. He didn't care about my job as a corpse restorer, and we lived together for 5 years. Until 5 years later, our daughter Luna died on the operating table. I accidentally overheard Ryan on the phone with someone. "You used Luna's organs to save Ella's child," which drove Sophia crazy for a while. Now she's come to her senses, but if she finds out the truth, she'll definitely divorce you. What are you going to do? At worst, I'll just let her go crazy again. A woman who deals with corpses every day, marrying her is the greatest favor I can do for her. I won't let her know the truth and hurt Ella. Poor my daughter, who died still clutching the little bear pendant Ryan bought her for the first time. My heart was shattered, and I prepared the divorce papers. From now on, bridges and roads would be separate. That night, Ryan hurried home and slammed the divorce papers onto the coffee table. "Sophia, what nonsense are you causing again? Ella isn't well, I was just taking care of her for a bit." He pulled a box of face cream from his bag. "By the way, I bought you that imported face cream you've always wanted." That cream was never the brand I liked, it was the brand his first love Ella adored, and the packaging still bore marks of having been opened. Ryan gave me a disgusted look. "Remember to wash your whole body thoroughly with disinfectant. That dead smell on you is unbearable, I'm about to throw up." He despised my profession and often hurt me with his words. I used to feel heartbroken when I heard them, but now I'm just numb. Luna is gone, and there's no reason for me to keep this marriage that exists in name only. Ryan, where you go, who you keep company with, none of it concerns me anymore. Ryan narrowed his eyes, his tone suddenly sharp with impatience. "Sophia, if you keep making a scene like this, I really won't tolerate you anymore. Making a fuss over these trivial, petty things every day, what's the point? If you don't appreciate what you have, there's no reason for our marriage to continue." Just what I wanted to hear. "Ryan, let's get a divorce." My voice was calm. He stood frozen, disbelief written all over his face. We'd been married for 5 years and rarely argued. Knowing Ryan's tendency for silent treatment, I was always the one to swallow my pride and apologize quietly. But this time, my calmness exceeded his expectations. He never imagined I would be the one to initiate the divorce. Just then, a boy of about 10 ran to my house, urgently grabbing Ryan's sleeve. "Daddy Ryan, Mom said her head hurts badly and wants you to come quickly." Ryan frowned and explained to me, "Ella's health isn't good, I'm just helping out as a doctor." I threw the box of face cream straight into the trash bin. I don't need used things, and neither do people. "Sophia, you're crazy. You need to go to a mental hospital for treatment." Ryan stormed out, slamming the door behind him. After handling Luna's funeral arrangements, I returned to the funeral home to continue working, only coming back home 7 days later. The apartment door was locked, and Ryan hadn't come back even once, not even to see Luna. Some say Ryan was busy taking care of Ella, driving her to medical appointments, buying groceries, cooking meals, and accompanying her to hospital checkups. He stayed by Ella's side without leaving, earning praise for his compassionate heart as a doctor. I only felt irony. After 5 years of marriage, in the end, they were the perfect match made in heaven, the real family. I packed up all of Luna's belongings, ready to take them away. On the 8th night, Ryan finally came home. The moment he saw me, the smile on his face froze. "Sophia, don't you see how exhausted I am? Hurry up and cook, I'm starving." In the past, when he said I'm hungry, it was a way of giving me an opening. I would immediately prepare a delicious meal for him. But now, I sat there without moving an inch. Ryan frowned and touched my head. "We've been married for 5 years. I thought you could understand me." He tried to touch my face again, but I dodged, and his tone darkened. "Sophia, I thought these days would be enough for you to calm down. Don't refuse the wine only to drink the penalty drink." I stood up, ready to leave. Ryan grabbed my wrist. This time I didn't think it through. Isn't an apology enough? He habitually rested his head on my shoulder. Ella's pungent perfume invaded my nostrils, making me feel nauseous. Ryan's hand slid toward my waist, and instinctively, I grabbed his wrist and twisted it hard outward. Ryan howled in pain. He never imagined that I, usually so gentle, would not only refuse to comply but actually lay hands on him. Stung by the disgust in my eyes, Ryan spoke coldly, "Sophia, you're a restorer who deals with the dead all day, disgusting and unlucky. Besides me, what man would want you? So this is how he's always seen me." Seeing the dark look on my face, Ryan thought he'd hit a nerve. "Sophia, everyone lives like this. Why can't you handle it?" Ella and I were college classmates. After her husband passed, she was left all alone with her child. I was just helping out, never did anything to betray you. It's such a trivial matter, you don't have to nitpick like a bitter woman. Who else but me could tolerate your career and temper? Besides, Luna needs a complete family. She needs both her mom and dad to grow up with. Mentioning Luna, he showed no guilt whatsoever, not a word about our daughter's organs. "Do you know how much I've sacrificed for this family? After all these years of marriage, I'm disappointed you don't trust me. I won't agree to a divorce, so don't bring it up again." He took an invitation card out of his briefcase. "My mom's turning 60 next Saturday. You better prepare for it and don't embarrass me. Make sure to bring a good gift and bring Luna along. My mom's health isn't great, having the child there will cheer her up." Suppressing the stabbing pain in my heart, I gritted my teeth and replied, "Ryan, I will definitely divorce you. You don't deserve to be Luna's father." Ryan snapped, "Sophia, I've been too lenient with you. Every man would like a woman like Ella, but I've never crossed the line. Besides, Luna can't live without me. Do you really think she'd choose you after the divorce?" A huge stone pressed against my chest, making it hard to breathe. Luna admired Ryan the most and often said she wanted to grow up to be a doctor like her dad, saving lives and healing the wounded. Every time Ryan got frustrated at the hospital and came home throwing things and losing his temper, Luna would quietly clean up and comfort him. When I worked overtime, Luna would prepare healthy meals for Ryan according to the nutrition chart. Others said Ryan was useless and could only rely on his wife to support the family, but Luna would fiercely defend him, never backing down even when teased by other children. Luna trusted him the most, giving all her admiration to her dad. That day, Ryan said he would take Luna to the amusement park to celebrate her birthday. Luna was so excited she barely slept all night. She put on her favorite dress and obediently followed him, completely captivated by a little bear pendant. She thought her dad was finally starting to care about her. In reality, Ryan just wanted to use Luna's organs for a transplant operation for Ella's son. The next day, Ryan told Luna to wait in the car while he went to a hospital meeting. Luna didn't understand why her dad suddenly got angry and could only sit obediently in the car waiting. But Luna was physically weak and had a history of asthma. Ryan locked the car windows, causing the temperature inside to rise sharply. After Luna fainted, he carried her straight into the operating room. The pain of personally preparing Luna's body for burial is something I will never forget in this life. If I had insisted on not letting Luna go out with him, or if I had taken the day off to stay with Luna that day, she wouldn't have died so tragically. My face went pale as I stood there in a daze. Ryan suddenly grew stern. "Sophia, my patience is really running out. This time, you're the one pushing me away, don't blame me for being ruthless. Luna would never agree to our divorce, she listens to me the most." He turned to head toward Luna's room. At that moment, Ella's son called. Ryan immediately asked anxiously what had happened, completely ignoring my presence. It turned out Ella had accidentally cut her hand deeply while cooking, which terrified the little boy. Ryan hurriedly started to leave. "Don't be scared, sweetheart. Daddy's coming right over to see your mom." This time, he didn't even glance back at me. My heart had completely gone numb. Ryan never let go of Ella. If she hadn't married and had children early, he would never have chosen me. To them, I was just a substitute. I walked into Luna's room and sat by her little bed, hoping that in the next life she would be born into a happy family. Luna was born frail and sickly. Some whispered behind my back that it was because of my profession as a corpse restorer, bringing bad luck, but Luna never once complained about me. I lit a night lamp for Luna. Then, unintentionally, I saw a prescription note I knew all too well. The handwriting was neat and strong, and it read, "May Ella be safe and joyful, may her life be smooth, and may our promise never change." My heart was clenched so tightly that the pain made it impossible to breathe. When Ryan's career was struggling, I was the one who stayed by his side day and night, encouraging him through the toughest times. To save money for the household, I rarely bought new clothes for myself and was reluctant to use cosmetics. Yet Ryan mocked me for not knowing how to dress up, for lacking femininity, saying he had no interest in that aspect of me. One time, I had just finished handling a car accident victim's body and came home, but Ryan complained about a strange smell on me and wouldn't let me in. He poured 2 large bottles of disinfectant over me, saying I would contaminate the air in the house. He said dealing with the dead would ruin his career luck. After that, he started going to Ella's house every day, completely ignoring me and Luna. These days, Ryan hasn't come home even once. Until the day before my mother-in-law's birthday banquet, Ryan sent a message warning me that I must bring Luna to attend. Fine, some accounts are long overdue for settling. My parents were once senior executives at a well-known medical device company, but they both died in a car accident, leaving me a substantial inheritance. This money, meant to be my dowry, was entirely controlled by my mother-in-law and used to support Ryan's career and networking. It's time to take back everything that belongs to me. A lavish birthday banquet was held at a 5-star hotel, with all the hospital's top executives and key clients invited. Just the venue and catering cost hundreds of thousands. Among the crowd, Ryan was dressed in a suit, and beside him Ella leaned on his shoulder like a delicate bird, wearing a custom-made dress. "Ryan, how do you like the birthday banquet I arranged for Auntie today? Are you satisfied?" I was boiling with anger. All this was spent from my dowry, how dare she? Ella then deliberately walked up to her mother-in-law and said ingratiatingly, "I've always been concerned about Auntie's health. She treats me like her own daughter, and Ryan often helps me too. I'm truly grateful and just hope for a chance to repay her kindness." Grandmother smiled so broadly her mouth wouldn't close. She glanced at Ella's son and said, "You're the lucky one, having a son means you'll have support in the future, unlike some who only have daughters that bring no benefit." It was clearly meant to sting me, since I only had a daughter. Ryan finally spoke up, "Mom, Ella has always been sensible." He handed over the gift box in his hand. "This is a small token from her." Ryan always defended Ella, afraid she might suffer even the slightest grievance. I thought back to when we first got married. Although Ryan didn't have much affection for me, he was considerate. In winter, he'd warm milk for me. During pregnancy, he shared the housework and bought me yogurt to satisfy my cravings. But ever since Ella's husband left, his heart hasn't been at home. He's been running over to Ella's place every other day. Luna clung to me and said, "Mom, does Dad not like us? Is that why he doesn't come home to be with us?" At first, I tried to defend him. "Your dad is kind-hearted, he loves you the most. Once Aunt Chen's family's situation improves, he'll come back. I believe in that. He's a sensible man, he has this family in his heart. Don't worry, sweetheart." I was so naive. It was obvious that Ryan had married me as a substitute just to spite Ella into marrying. Ryan walked over then, reaching out to grab me. "Sophia, I'm glad you've come to understand. From now on, let's live well together and stop all this fuss." I dodged his touch. "Why didn't you bring Luna? Is she sick?" Ryan frowned. Suddenly, My mother-in-law came over and pulled Ryan away. Ella stood by his side, fully embodying the posture of the lady of the house. Some cast strange glances our way. I ignored them, waiting for the right moment. Ella linked her arm with Ryan's, deliberately showing off, "Sophia, we're both so glad you could come." Ryan smiled and patted her hand. "Sophia is stubborn and doesn't understand social graces, not as thoughtful as you." Before I could say a word, he and Ella warmly attended to the guests together. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her, people like Ryan weren't worth it. But Ella leaned close to my ear. I picked out Ryan's tie, shirt, and shoes. "He says I have the best taste and know his preferences the most. And you know, Ryan stayed over at my place last night. He said he couldn't stand your dead person smell anymore, it made him want to vomit." She was deliberately trying to provoke and disgust me. But I kept my expression calm, smiling faintly. At that moment, the person we were waiting for finally arrived. The lawyer hurried in, holding a folder. Ryan asked in terror, "Sophia, what have you done?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "Ryan, I'm taking back all the property that belongs to me, and finalizing the divorce agreement. Also, I'm going to tell everyone how Luna died." Ryan's face instantly turned pale. "Sophia, are you crazy? There are so many people here." I sneered and clapped my hands. The lights in the banquet hall suddenly dimmed, and the projector displayed photos of Luna when she was alive. "Dear guests, I am Sophia, Ryan's wife and Luna's mother. Today, I am going to reveal the truth about how my daughter Luna died." Ryan lunged toward the projector but was stopped by two assistants brought by the lawyer. Ella screamed, "Ryan, what is she trying to do? Stop her." I pressed the remote, and hospital surveillance footage appeared on the screen. Ryan carried the unconscious Luna into the operating room, followed by a series of scenes showing surgical preparations. My daughter Luna was deliberately locked in a hot car by her biological father Ryan, causing her to lose consciousness. Then, he took her into the operating room, harvested her organs, and transplanted them into Ella's son. The banquet hall erupted in shock. Ella collapsed to the ground. "This can't be. You're lying." Cold sweat broke out on Ryan's forehead. The lawyer stepped forward and opened a folder. "This is Luna's death certificate. The cause of death was multiple organ failure. This is the surgical record, showing that Dr. Ryan personally performed the organ removal surgery on his own daughter. This is the organ transplant record. The recipient is Ella's son." A middle-aged man in a white coat stepped forward. "I was the anesthesiologist in the operating room that day and can confirm that all of this is true. Dr. Ryan told us that Luna was brain dead and that the family had agreed to donate her organs. But afterward, I discovered that Luna's EEG did not meet the criteria for brain death." Ryan's face turned ashen, his legs trembling. His mother covered her chest, staring at her son in disbelief. "Ryan, this can't be true, can it? You couldn't have done this to your own daughter, could you?" Ryan hung his head, silent. His mother's eyes rolled back, and she fainted to the ground. The guests murmured among themselves, pulling out their phones to record. Ella got up and lunged at Ryan. "Ryan, tell them it's not true. You promised to protect me and the child, you promised." Ryan pushed Ella aside and knelt before me. "Sophia, I was wrong, I really was. I was blinded at the time, only wanting to save the child. Luna is my daughter, how could I not love her? I regret it every day, please forgive me." I looked at him coldly, my heart as still as water. "Ryan, you don't deserve to be a father. You don't deserve forgiveness either." The lawyer handed me a document. "This is the court's verdict. In light of Ryan's criminal actions, the court orders all your dowry property to be returned. This is the divorce agreement, and it is now effective." Ryan grabbed my pant leg, tears streaming down his face. "Sophia, what am I supposed to do without you? We've been together for 5 years. For Luna's sake, give me one more chance." I shook off his hand and turned away. Luna is gone, and there's nothing left between you and me. After the divorce, I used the reclaimed dowry to buy a small building and renovated it into a restoration studio for the deceased. The phone rang. It was Peter from the funeral home. Sophia, there's another special case. The family specifically requested you to handle it. All right, I'll be there right away. My studio's reputation was growing, and more people came seeking me out. They said I could make the deceased look peaceful, as if still alive, easing the family's regrets. Just as I reached the door, a familiar figure appeared before me. Ryan was disheveled, reeking heavily of alcohol. Sophia, please come back. I truly realize my mistakes. He held a bouquet of roses, his hands trembling. Without you, I am nothing. I walked past him and locked the studio door. Ryan, we are already divorced. Please show some respect. He grabbed my wrist firmly. Ella's son's condition has worsened, and the organ rejection is severe. The hospital suspects it was my medical malpractice and wants to hold me accountable. Sophia, please help me, just for the sake of what we once had. I shook off his hand, my gaze icy. What we once had? You killed my daughter. You sowed the seeds of this disaster yourself, you must bear the consequences. Ryan knelt on the ground, clutching my leg. I've been demoted at the hospital, and my colleagues are gossiping about me behind my back. Ella won't even talk to me anymore, she says I ruined her son. Sophia, only you can save me. I pushed him away and walked toward the parking lot without looking back. At the funeral home, Peter introduced the sharply dressed man in military uniform before me. This is Daniel, the director of the military hospital. He brought this special case. Daniel extended his hand to me. Miss Sophia, I've heard much about you. I hear you're the best mortician, able to preserve the deceased's final dignity. I nodded. Dean Daniel, you flatter me. I'm just doing my best. Daniel led me to the morgue and pulled back the white sheet. This is one of our comrades who tragically died during a mission. His facial injuries are severe, and his family wishes to see him one last time. Could you help restore him? I carefully examined the wounds and nodded. I can, but it will take some time. Daniel didn't leave, instead, he quietly sat nearby. Aren't you afraid? I asked without looking up, focused on mixing the restoration materials. Afraid of what? Most people don't want to stay in the morgue, let alone watch me work. Daniel smiled faintly. Life and death are part of the natural order. Your work allows the departed to leave with dignity and gives the living fewer regrets. It's a noble profession. My hand paused, and I looked up at him. It was the first time someone had spoken of my work this way. 3 hours later, I finished the restoration. Daniel looked at his comrade's restored face, filled with gratitude. It's incredible, Miss Sophia, your skills are truly remarkable. The family will surely be very comforted when they see this. After seeing Daniel off, Peter looked at me with a meaningful expression. Dean Daniel is a good man, isn't he? I heard his wife died in a car accident 3 years ago and he hasn't remarried since. I was tidying up my tools and didn't respond. The next day, Daniel came to my studio carrying a bouquet of white lilies. Thank you for your help yesterday. The comrade's family was deeply moved. He looked around and admired, your studio is very professional. I have an idea. The military hospital is setting up a restoration center for soldiers' remains, and I hope you can be involved in this project. I was a bit surprised. Why come to me? Daniel said seriously, because you are the best, and our warriors deserve the best farewell. His eyes were sincere, stirring something in my heart. I need to think it over. Daniel nodded and left his business card. You're welcome anytime. Sophia, Ryan got drunk and caused a scene at the hospital, saying he wants to see you. He's already been expelled from the hospital. My mother-in-law had a stroke and was hospitalized the day before yesterday. her condition isn't good. I rubbed my temples. Thanks for telling me, but this has nothing to do with me. The next day, I arrived at the studio early, preparing for the day's work. Daniel sent a message inviting me to visit the site where the military hospital's post-mortem restoration center is being established. After I agreed, I began organizing my tools. Suddenly, a loud banging came from outside the door. Ryan, reeking of alcohol, kicked open the studio door. "Sophia. This is all your fault." He staggered in, his eyes bloodshot. "Ella took her son and left, saying she never wants to see me again. My mother is lying in the hospital, the doctors say she might never wake up. My career is ruined, no hospital dares to hire me now. All of this is because of you." I rushed forward to stop him, but he shoved me aside. "Aren't you so capable? So talented? Today, I'm going to destroy your studio and make you taste what it's like to lose everything." Ryan grabbed a bottle of chemical repair solution and splashed it onto my equipment. I lunged to snatch the bottle away, but he shoved me hard to the ground. My head slammed against the corner of the table, sending a sharp pain through me. Ryan looked down at me, his eyes filled with madness. "Sophia, you destroyed everything of mine, and I will make sure you have nothing left." Just at that critical moment, the door was pushed open. Daniel rushed in with a single step, delivering a chop to Ryan's wrist, pinning him to the ground. "Ryan, what you're doing is a crime. I've already called the police." Ryan cursed non-stop. "Daniel, who do you think you are? Sophia is my woman. What right do you have to interfere in our business?" Daniel's face was cold and stern as he pressed down harder. "Miss Sophia is a colleague I respect and a friend of mine. Your actions constitute intentional injury and property damage." The police arrived quickly. "Thanks to Dean Daniel for reporting this, we will handle it according to the law." Daniel helped me up and carefully examined the injury on the back of my head. "Do you need to go to the hospital for a checkup?" I shook my head, glanced at the studio, and sighed. "The equipment can be replaced, but some restoration materials are specially made and hard to replenish quickly." Daniel held my hand. "Don't worry, the military hospital has complete facilities, you can use theirs for now. Coincidentally, our project also needs you to participate as soon as possible." 3 days later, I stood in the military hospital's post-mortem restoration center. Daniel introduced, "This is the workspace specially prepared for you. Next week, a batch of soldiers who died on special missions will be coming back. We hope you can help." I nodded and began to familiarize myself with the new work environment. A week later, I completed the facial restorations of 7 fallen soldiers. Each soldier's appearance was restored to how they looked in life, peaceful as if asleep. At the farewell ceremony, the soldiers' families wept uncontrollably, expressing their deep gratitude to me. The military district commander personally presented me with an honorary certificate. "Miss Sophia, thank you for allowing our hero to return home with dignity." Daniel stood beside me, his eyes full of pride. After the ceremony, he drove me home. The car stopped beneath my apartment building, but he didn't get out immediately. "Sophia, I have something I want to say to you. 3 years ago, my wife died in a car accident, and I once thought I would never love anyone again. Until I met you, I realized I was unknowingly drawn to you. Your strength, professionalism, and kindness made me believe in love again. I know you've just been through a painful marriage and may need time to heal. But I'm willing to wait for you, until you're ready to accept a new love." I lowered my head, my heart a whirlwind of emotions. "Daniel, thank you for your feelings, but I need time." He smiled and nodded. "I understand. I will wait for you. No matter how long it takes, I will be here." One morning, I opened my phone to find social media flooded with negative news about me. Shocking. Mortician Sophia accused of desecrating corpses, multiple families of the deceased file complaints. Insider reveals, Sophia's studio has serious hygiene issues, possibly causing virus spread. In the comment section, an account claiming to be a family member of the deceased kept posting. After my father's body was restored by Sophia, he came back unrecognizable, nothing like a human. I heard she secretly took valuables from the deceased, it's terrifying. Peter from the funeral home also called, saying someone had filed a complaint against me, and they couldn't continue working with me for now. My career was thrown into crisis overnight. Daniel rushed over upon hearing the news, gripping my hand tightly. Don't worry, I'll help you get to the bottom of this. He made a few calls, and soon there was a lead. It's Ryan and Ella pulling the strings behind the scenes. They hired people to post online and even recruited fake grieving family members to file complaints against you. I gave a bitter laugh. They really will stop at nothing. Daniel said coldly, if they want to play dirty, then we'll play along to the end. Over the next few days, Daniel began investigating Ryan's medical records. Sophia, take a look at this. He placed a stack of documents in front of me. These are Ryan's surgery records from the past 5 years, with multiple medical accidents covered up. He escaped responsibility by forging medical records and bribing relevant personnel. The most serious case left a young patient permanently disabled. I flipped through the documents, utterly shocked. Is all this true? Daniel nodded. Every piece of evidence has original records and witness testimonies. I've already contacted several mainstream media outlets, they're very interested in this exposé. 3 days later, a report titled Renowned Surgeon Ryan's Medical Ethics Corrupted, Multiple Medical Accidents Covered Up went viral across the internet. The report detailed numerous cases where Ryan falsified medical records and concealed medical accidents. Victims' families even came forward to accuse Ryan of demanding hush money from them. Public opinion erupted in outrage, and the Hospital Association announced an investigation into Ryan. Meanwhile, I released a video showcasing my workflow and professional standards. In the video, I meticulously restored the deceased's appearance, following industry protocols at every step. At the end of the video, several real clients appeared to express their gratitude for allowing their loved ones a dignified farewell. The online sentiment quickly reversed, with people rallying to my defense. So it was Ryan pulling the strings behind the scenes. Sophia is the true professional. A doctor like Ryan, with such corrupted ethics, deserves to be blacklisted. Then Ella's son was hospitalized again due to worsening organ rejection. Hospital examinations revealed that Ryan's initial transplant surgery had serious issues, causing the child's condition to continuously deteriorate. Ella completely broke down, causing a scene at the hospital and blaming Ryan for ruining her son. You said you would save the child. You promised. Now he's even sicker, all because of your mistake. I hate you, Ryan, I hate you. Someone recorded her outburst and posted it online, sparking a new wave of controversy. Ryan's career was utterly destroyed. The Hospital Association revoked his medical license, and multiple families of victims filed lawsuits. Daniel held my hand. Justice has finally been served. I nodded, feeling a huge weight lift from my heart. That weekend, Daniel drove me to his hometown. My parents are very eager to meet you. His parents were retired teachers, simple and kind. Daniel's mother held my hand, her eyes full of affection. Daniel often talks about you, saying you are the strongest woman he has ever met. Your profession is unique, but very meaningful. To allow the departed to leave with dignity and to ease the regrets of the living, that is such a noble work. Daniel's father nodded as well. Since Daniel's wife passed away, we've always worried he might never recover. Seeing him regain his spirit because of you brings us great comfort. Sophia, no matter how things develop between you two, we wish you all the best. After dinner, Daniel took me to the backyard and once again expressed his feelings deeply. Sophia, thank you for coming into my life. I know you're still hesitant, but I want to tell you, I will always wait for you. No matter how long it takes, I will be here. I looked into his sincere eyes and gradually melted. Daniel, thank you for always being by my side. I think I'm ready now. He hugged me joyfully. After Ryan was fired, my mother-in-law suffered severe after-effects from a stroke and required long-term treatment and care. He had to sell off family assets to pay the medical bills. I heard this news from Peter, but my heart remained unmoved. Sophia, did you know? Ella found a wealthy businessman and remarried, bringing her son along, Peter gossiped while tidying up his tools. I heard the businessman is in the medical equipment industry. To win Ella over, he even funded foreign specialists for her son. Ryan has been completely abandoned and now has nothing left. I focused on restoring the deceased's face without looking up. He got what he deserved. On my way home from work, a disheveled figure blocked my path. Ryan was scruffy, his clothes disheveled. Sophia, please help me, I'm truly at my wit's end. Ella took the child and left. My mother's illness is worsening, and I can't afford the medical bills anymore. I know I was wrong, I really do, please forgive me. Ryan knelt before me, clutching my pant leg tightly, tears streaming down his face. I looked at him coldly. Ryan, what you did is something I will never forgive. I will never forget Luna's death for the rest of my life. What you're going through now is nothing but the consequence of your own actions. Ryan lifted his head, his eyes bloodshot, pleading. Sophia, I truly know I was wrong, please give me one chance. I'll do anything, as long as you forgive me. I harshly shook off his hand and turned to leave. There is no longer any connection between us. You better stay far away from me, or don't blame me for being ruthless. Ryan sobbed uncontrollably, lying motionless on the ground. Without looking back, I left resolutely. A week later, Daniel found me. Sophia, I've been promoted to director of the military hospital. I want to invite you to establish a military personnel corps restoration center in our hospital. This is both recognition of you and a need for your work. I gladly accepted his invitation. With Daniel's strong support, the Military Personnel Corps Restoration Center was quickly established. I led a team of young restoration specialists, repairing the appearances of fallen soldiers. All of this was thanks to Daniel's understanding and support. He became my strongest backing and the person I admired most in my heart. A year later, after finishing a restoration project, Daniel knelt on one knee and proposed to me. Sophia, will you marry me? Tears welled up in my eyes with excitement as I nodded firmly. The wedding was set for 3 months later. On the day of the wedding, I wore a white gown, holding a bouquet, walking slowly forward. Daniel was dressed in a suit, his eyes shining with happiness. At that moment, a disheveled figure suddenly burst in. Ryan reeked of alcohol, his hair a mess. Sophia, you can't marry him. We had so many wonderful times together, how could you forget? If you marry him, I'll die to show you. The security guards immediately pinned him to the ground, but he kept shouting. Sophia, you'll regret this. I held Daniel's hand tightly, my eyes full of determination. Let's go, ignore him. Ella's son passed away due to prolonged organ rejection complications. Ella completely broke down in the face of it all. The hospital had no choice but to forcibly admit her to a psychiatric facility for treatment. I watched the news showing Ella's frenzied state, and not a trace of sympathy stirred in my heart. This was the fate she deserved. Shortly after the wedding, Ryan's mother came to visit on her own. She was gaunt and bony, looking at least 10 years older than her actual age. Sophia, I know I was very unfair to you back then. I spoiled Ryan but neglected your efforts. If it weren't for you, I might never have seen his true colors. She knelt on the ground, weeping bitterly. Please forgive this foolish old woman. I sighed and had her sent away. It's too late to say anything now. Don't ever come looking for me again. From then on, I completely severed ties with their family. Married life was happy and fulfilling. Daniel was considerate and attentive, not only respecting my profession but fully supporting my career development. With his backing, I founded a training school for mortuary restoration specialists. I taught the courses myself, passing on this unique skill to more people. Helping more departed souls leave with dignity has become my lifelong pursuit. A year later, I saw a familiar face in the newspaper. After Ryan was discharged, he became homeless and ended up begging on the streets. Disheveled and unkempt, he was a far cry from the charming man he once was. The report said he often begged at the hospital entrance and didn't resist when people insulted him. Is this the ruthless doctor? How did he fall so low? He did terrible things back then, now he's getting what he deserves. I closed the newspaper, feeling not a trace of emotion. Daniel wrapped his arms around me from behind. Don't dwell on the past anymore. We still have many beautiful days ahead. I nodded and held him tightly.